Today's podcast is brought to you by Inverted Gear. For all your jiu-jitsu needs, go to invertedgear.com. Save 15% off if you type in the coupon code ShowTheArt15 with no spaces. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. That's Chimera Coffee with a K. They are a coffee brand that infused their coffee with nootropics. If you don't know what nootropics are, Google it. They can do a much better job at explaining it than I can. Go to chimeracoffee.com, type in the coupon code ShowTheArt for a nice little discount. Enjoy. Nathan Orchard, welcome to the show. You are a 10th Planet black belt. You are a high-level competitor. You have rolled with the best of them. You are an EBI veteran. How are you, man? Thank you for coming on.
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's cool to be on your podcast. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you on the show. It was a pleasure meeting you last summer, I believe, in San Diego or wherever we were.
Yeah, that was a little while ago now.
Yeah, man. We met at we met at the UFC, and then we trained at. You did a little seminar at Gio Martinez School, right?
That's right. Yeah, Gio's a good friend of mine. We got our black belt the same day. And I would like to get and train with him whenever I can. I got to teach him stuff, and you guys, that was great.
Nice, man. Yeah, you taught some cool moves. Actually, I still use one of them to this day. It was when you grabbed both ankles. And remember that straight ankle lock switch you showed us?
I'm not sure.
You get I forget what you call it, but like that single leg X position, but you have both ankles. When you're on your butt, they step over the ankle with they jump over your foot, and then you switch to the other leg. I call that leg puppet.
Leg
what?
Leg puppets.
Leg puppets.
Because they're kind of your puppet. You know, you just kind of jump back and forth on their legs. They try that same defense a couple of times. You know, that's sweet, man. That's great to hear.
Yeah, man, I loved it, and there was a lot of people there. Obviously, your Phil. He's your brown belt. Is he your student?
No. He's actually got his brown belt from Eddie Bravo. He rolled with Eddie for years. I'm from Southern Oregon, you know, and we just so happened to move to Portland around the same time. So we got our school going together. But he's my business partner. Yeah, so we run 10th Planet Portland together. Him and another guy, Matt Weber, who is one of my purple belts.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, from the way it sounds like online, he shows you so much respect. I would think that you were his teacher, but I guess it seems like you guys are just training partners.
Well, no, man. I mean, we teach each other, you know, all the time. I learn a lot from him. He's a sharp dude. I mean, honestly, he's a really smart guy. And I mean, you can learn from anybody. But no, he's my main training partner. You know, I get some of my best rolls in the gym from him, and you know, he keeps me sharp. So yeah, he's training partner, good friend, business partner, all that good stuff.
Were you guys both in 10th Planet when you guys connected? Like he moved to Portland, you moved to Portland, and you guys were both already in 10th Planet, and then you met up. Yeah.
Actually, I met him in 2012 when I first went down to LA to train with Eddie for the first time, and we were just, you know, bullshitting around, and he said that he went to school in Portland. And I'm like, oh, well, dang, man, that's great. He said he might move back. I said, well, if you ever come to Oregon, yeah, let's meet up and do some work. Well, it just so happened that then I moved from Grants Pass, Oregon, which is 4 hours south of Portland. There's actually a 10th Planet there. Some of my old students are running it. But I moved up to Portland, and we just kind of picked up, you know, where John Salami, he used to own 10th Planet Portland way back. He moved down to Cali. It kind of disappeared, and then we resurrected it, and it's going strong now. It's as strong as it's ever been, so it's pretty exciting.
Nice, man. Yeah, I mean, I like your little snow-capped logo. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. That's Mount Hood. It's like one of the big mountains you can see from our city. And it's got a little Portland touch to it. So.
And how is Portland at this time of the year? Right now, it's August. For us, it's the summer in New Jersey, New York area. How about Portland?
This has been the strangest summer here. It's been really cool weather, but usually, I mean, it's still very comfortable. Portland summers are great. You know, Oregon summers are beautiful. Everyone loves it, but, you know, as they say, winter is coming.
Now, who's the pride and joy of Portland? Is it just Nate Orchard, or are there other big celebrities from Portland, Oregon?
Oh yeah, I mean there's between MMA fighters and there's some other gnarly black belts around here.
Uh-huh.
There's a guy that he's a good friend now. I started training with him 3 years ago. Aaron Milan, he's actually a John Danaher black belt, and I consider him one of the best in the town, one of the best on the West Coast. He's kind of honestly a little hidden gem that not a lot of people know about, but man, that guy is he's real sharp. He's real sharp. So if you guys don't know about him, maybe do a little research. It's he was competing back in the day before everybody was posting video. There was no Facebook back then. So certain people just never got discovered the way they would now.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And in my opinion, he's one of those guys. But yeah, there's jiu-jitsu the jiu-jitsu scene is very strong in Portland. There's a lot of schools around. It's a very active city, and jiu-jitsu just seems to kind of go along with the lifestyle out here.
Nice, man. And didn't Chael Sonnen have a super fight event there? It was in Oregon, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was just 2 weeks ago. So it was 10 minutes from my house.
Nice.
It was sweet. It was sweet. I got to go against a guy, Guilherme Bomba Vasconcelos. He was on the Ultimate Fighter Brazil. He actually weighed in at 205 pounds. I weighed at 175.
Holy crap!
I had a couple guys back out on me last minute, and he was just all they could get for me. And I said, "Well, let's do it," And I was able to win in overtime with EBI rules. I won in the last overtime round with a rear naked choke.
Wow! Awesome, man! Congrats. That's awesome.
Thank you.
How was that event in its entirety? I mean, isn't Chael Sonnen from Oregon?
Yeah. Chael Sonnen lives 45 minutes from me, tops. He trains at Gracie Baja down here, and I've got to work with him before. And the event was great. I mean, it was a little different because it took place in a cage.
In a cave?
Definitely in a cage. A cage. There were cavemen. In a cage.
Oh, so a grappling event in an octagon. Interesting.
Sure. Yeah, an octagon. I guess that would be the appropriate term. Kind of old school like that, but yeah. And so that made it really interesting. We had to work off the walls and do things like that.
You could. You were allowed to. Oh, I see.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, which wasn't a problem for me. I've had 21 MMA fights, so it was no big deal for me to go in there. And I get punched in the face with whatever.
Mm-hmm. So. Nice, man. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it was only last week where I was rolling with somebody, and I think they were like a white or blue belt, more of a beginner student, and we wound up close to the wall, and I was like, nah, man, just keep going. I was on the bottom, and I was kind of pinned up trying to escape like half guard or something, but we were up against the wall, and I was like, nah, let's do it. It's fun. It's different. It's another like it's a different environment. Why not? If we wind up against the wall, why not do it? It doesn't happen often, so might as well make the most of it. And if you could use it, I could use it.
You never, maybe you're in a street situation and you're up against a wall. Well, you've never been against a wall before. How are you going to handle that? You know what I mean? So yeah, you gotta be ready to adapt to whatever situation you're in, including rolling off the wall. We roll off the wall in my gym. If you're up against the wall, you keep going.
Yeah. Are there any techniques that you've developed? I mean, obviously, because you've trained, you fought MMA, so you had to develop techniques for fighting off the wall with strikes involved. But do you guys ever drill in your jiu-jitsu class techniques off the wall, like if you get trapped against the wall?
I don't spend a lot of time on it because it is so rare that competing wise, we do have to work off the walls. I have a good friend, Adlai Cleveland, the 10th Planet, Ann Arbor in Michigan. He's got a great wall system, a great wall working system. So some people focus more on it. I don't tend to that much, but like I said, we'll roll off of it if it comes into play during a roll or whatever in class. But
nice. It's fair game.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about it right now. I feel like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just cover it every now and then because it's fun. Just to make class fun.
Takedowns and sprawls at least. You know what I mean? Kind of getting off the wall. Maybe again on the street you're being attacked. Someone's pushing you up against the wall. I mean, Do you know how to circle out, or do you know how to take someone down against the wall if you need to restrain someone for a minute, something like that.
We don't teach street martial arts.
Oh, okay.
We are the anti-street martial arts. We ain't street ready. We stay home ready.
Nice. Well, I can't help but think about it. It's always something
we're joking. We're joking.
For sure. Yeah, hey, that's the thing about jiu-jitsu. It is, in my opinion, it's the best street self-defense, that there is as far as martial arts goes. I mean, boxing is great too, but I don't want to necessarily knock someone out if I have to. I actually, a couple of years back in Portland, took a guy down on the street, and he was kicking in a storefront window just over and over. A couple old folks around him trying to stop him. I park my truck, I jump out, and
nice.
And I take this guy down, real gentle, real easy. You know what I mean? I got his back, put him in choke. I had both of his arms trapped, one with my wrist, one with my leg.
Dang.
And I literally held the guy there for 5 minutes until the cops got there.
Awesome,
and I helped him, and boom, send him on his way, and no one got hurt. He got more roughed up when they were cuffing him than anything. You know what I mean? So.
And how did the concrete feel on your back, like when you were moving, when you're controlling the guy?
Well,
how did it feel?
Man, I first of all, adrenaline, was definitely pumping.
Yeah.
But the only time I hit the ground any kind of hard was on my takedown.
Okay.
Because what actually happened is I pushed him up against the wall and said, "Dude, stop!" Then he turned around, started swinging on me. I just dropped, took a clean little double. He shrimped into me. I gift wrapped him again, took his back, So, I didn't. There was no real impact on the ground, and I had a sweatshirt on. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Nice. Because that's always the common. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I made sure that there was only one dude. I wasn't trying to wrestle a guy to the ground. If there's like two, three, four guys there, I thought this was one dude, and I took him out. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying I'm out there just fighting gangs of people or anything like that. It's just a one guy situation. But the concrete didn't mess me up.
Did you add this win to your fight record?
I almost should. That should be my 22nd fight with an asterisk.
Yeah. When you started telling the story, I thought you were going to say he's trying to kick down the window. You push him against the window. He turns around and says, "Dude," and he throws a punch at you. And then you go for a double leg through the glass.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're in the store fighting. This guy grabs a,
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to be.
Going Wild West status.
Yeah.
You let us down, man.
I'm sorry. Gosh, it's so anticlimactic. No. I mean, it was great. Just no one getting hurt. The old people thanking me afterward and stuff. It was pretty cool, man. I handed out my business card to the cops.
Perfect. That's like the
so
ultimate
awesome.
Advertisement for jiu-jitsu. I just saved somebody.
I didn't get any takers on it, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Nice, man.
Wow.
So I was going to ask you about self-defense real quick scenario because, everybody wants to know. Not everybody trains with getting into a fight in mind, having to defend themselves.
Yeah.
But not many people actually getting a chance to do it. I mean, it's not a chance that you want, but a chance that you might have to do.
No.
Now, if
sure.
somebody squares up with you, right? Like whatever situation. Let's say you didn't expect it. You pulled out of your car. You were expecting to stop this guy. But let's say you bump into a guy in a club or in a street or at Whole Foods, and this guy's just pissed off, and he thought you were looking at him wrong, and there's distance between you guys. And then he pushes you and then squares up. Now there's like 3 feet away from you guys, but this guy has his hands up. He's ready to brawl.
He's mouthing off at you.
Yeah. What is your immediate game plan right there? This guy, there's 3 feet away from you. This guy squares up, and he's not taking no prisoners.
No, for sure. First of all, the thing is, do I even have to fight this guy? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're ridiculous. It's like, you want to fight? Let's instead of going to jail for it, you can just come to my gym.
Yeah.
And we can do it in a safe place at least. You know what I mean?
Sure.
As grown ass men instead of losing our tempers there and doing it. So, do I have to fight him? Not necessarily. Sometimes the best, if someone pulls a knife on me, am I going to fight him? No, I'm going to take off. I'm going to run. Running can be your best self-defense. You know what I mean? Not putting yourself in a situation to get hurt. Okay, let's say I decide to fight him. That's a completely different story, but, at that point, we're just talking techniques and whatnot. But honestly, it's more about not getting in a fight.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
If someone squares up, I got 3 feet. There's no need for this.
Yes.
Now, if he is straight forcing me and attacking me,
Yeah.
blatantly rushing me,
And your back is against the frozen food section. Like you got nowhere to go.
Yeah, of course, I could take a guy, drop levels, take him down. Man, I've got plenty of striking. I'm not afraid to throw. Honestly, what I'd probably, if you wanted to know the very first technique I'd throw, if I knew I had to fight at 3 feet of distance, I'd be throwing a step through front kick, man. I'd be kicking like a teep, right to the chin. That's what I would look for. And then if we go to the ground from there, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times once you square up with someone that doesn't know how to fight, and then you throw one sharp technique, I feel like that would spook a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? You throw one sharp.
People have no idea that they don't even know how to fight. They think they know how to fight. They have no fucking clue that it is that we are trained, grapplers and strikers sometimes, and we spend hours and hours and hours getting good at this. They think they can just throw a punch and knock someone. That's just crazy. It's just completely ignorant. You know what I mean? So, yeah, most people have no idea how pathetic they are in a fight.
Nate, that was me like 14 years ago. I was such a pathetic person.
We've all been there,
Totally.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been training, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, a little bit of everything for years.
Kali.
Yeah. And we always come up with the same conclusion, like avoiding the fight is the best self-defense. Like an Olympic sprinter is the best at street fights. He's the best. He's the best self-defense, honestly. We're in a complete agreement with you. It's just I wanted to know your strategy, because like my strategy, if I'm forced into an altercation and I have nowhere to go, I'm closing distance. That's my strategy. I'm not trying to bang, bro.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to keep distance until the distance is at a point that I need to close it more.
Yeah.
I'm in kicking distance. I'm sure he's not going to kick me, but that means he's outside of. I'm outside his punching distance. Okay. If we are in punching distance, that's when I'm dropping levels. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about a guy kicking, man. I've got some pretty nasty kicks for sure.
And a front kick is perfect.
And again, that just keeps more distance between the two of you. So again, it's just techniques at that point, and we could go back and forth all day on techniques.
Sure.
Nothing is the ultimate move. So. No,
I'm just trying to get into the mind of Nate Orchard. The guy starts throwing frozen turkeys at you. What do you do?
Exactly, and dude, it's just so tough to say, man. There's so many situations, but yeah, I'll tell you one thing, man, and again, I hope I don't ever have to be in this situation. But if there's someone that puts a gun in my face at point blank range, I guarantee you, I'm going home with a new gun. You know what I mean? Like. I'm taking it. No, I'm not going to put my hands up and give him my wallet. The second he goes in my face, dude, I'm going to, you're that close to me. I can grab the gun, move out of the way before he can pull the trigger. I guarantee you,
Definitely. And it's funny how you feel that way about a gun, which is way more dangerous than a knife. I mean, theoretically, right?
I don't know. I think a knife in one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat
is way more dangerous.
I'm more afraid of a knife. It's more, it's always ready to go. This guy's got to pull the trigger to make it shoot.
And then if you run away, he's got to aim at you, which is not the easiest thing to do unless you're like trained.
Sure. Absolutely. But a knife, dude, the thing is about a knife is you're going to get cut. You're gonna. If you're in a fight and there's a knife involved, there's going to be blood. Whereas I think if a gun, you just got to avoid that initial shot. If the distance is already closed, you're out of the way, of the barrel, and hopefully controlling the barrel at that point.
Sure.
It's not, I've done a little bit of like gun disarms and stuff, and it's not easy to hold on to a gun when someone's got their hands on it and they're, pointing it, in a safe direction. Man,
Yeah, man, 100%.
It's an interesting situation for sure.
And like a knife. Like you can, it's a lot safer to wrestle a gun away from somebody than a knife. A knife you could just turn your wrist and the knife will go in any direction. Whereas the gun, all you have to do is stay away from the direction of the barrel. The bullet's not going to twist any different way. But the knife can just, they can literally just drop it on your leg, and even that would hurt.
Exactly. I just more ready to do damage.
Yeah.
I feel like, honestly.
You know,
So,
a nice femoral
yeah,
artery
I'm
cut.
more afraid of knives. I'm more afraid of knives than guns for sure.
Nice.
Anyway,
So
crazy stuff.
let's move on from that into the Leglock Academy.
Leglock Academy.
What is that all
Absolutely.
about?
You know, Alan Belcher and Brandon McCatherine, they got together. They live, Alan's in Mississippi and Brandon is in Alabama. They do some work together. And so one day Brandon hits me up and said, "Hey man, we're going to make a leg lock instructional. Do you want to be involved?" And I said, "Hell yeah." You know, I mean, you know, it's a big deal to me that a guy like Alan Belcher would even consider me. You know, he's a pretty established name, and I'm kind of a up and comer a little bit. And you know, so I took him up on it and went out there, and so we put together a leg lock instructional that is actually going to be kind of ever expanding. You know,
Nice.
we just kind of had to release the first phase. Right now, we're just kind of lines, kind of some basics, and maybe some advanced stuff too. But you know, we're going to add a lot more content to it. So it's going to be growing and getting bigger, more information, and yeah, it's a digital download online, and at leglockacademy.com.
Nice, man. And is it a online service? Like I could go on, kind of like Netflix, and pick out certain genres of certain positions, and then go from there? Or is it just
Absolutely.
like this is a section on heel hooks? This is a section on, or you know, like how's it divided?
We have it broken down between 6 positions, and then between entries and finishes and things like that, transitions. So yeah, I mean it's broken down real easy to use, and the production value is beautiful. We had a guy, Chris Pirelli. He did all the camera work, so it's just a great product. And again, it's only going to get better. So
Awesome, man.
It's pretty exciting.
Now, when you guys are teaching the techniques on there, is it you guys talking to the camera, or is it instructions written out, or is there dubbed over? What can we expect from watching a video on the site?
You know, it's just kind of as if you were to be taking a class from us. You know, we're just talking to the camera, going through. You know, there's a lot of again, Chris, his camera work was great, so he was really able to get in on some details and get some cool angles. But no, I mean it's a fairly laid back situation, and there's no dubbing or anything like that. But yeah, again, it's really easy to watch and learn from. You know what I mean? It's pretty smooth.
Sure. Now, one thing that keeps coming up is the whole, and I don't want to keep bringing it up, but like people are starting to release quote unquote other people's techniques or other people's strategies. I feel like whatever you've learned from somebody, like I can't release a DVD without giving credit to like 9-10 different people. But
for sure.
But that's not the point. The point is whatever I was taught, I made into my own in a certain way. Yeah. So I feel like anything you teach is kind of your own, whether it was inspired or taught to you by somebody else. What are your thoughts on that? Not to say I'm not accusing you guys of anything, honestly.
No.
It's just since you guys released this, which is not that long ago, you know, you just keep your ear open and see what people are saying.
Of course. Look, man, there's always going to be some backlash and some haters, but you know, like you said, you make it your own. You know, that's what Bruce Lee says. Take what works for you, get rid of what doesn't, make it your own. And sure, there are things in Leglock Academy that, guess what, other guys have to teach you the information. No one's making this stuff up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Someone taught anyone who does leg locks today, someone taught that person. Yeah. Right? Now, maybe they did some discovery themselves and developed some system themselves, but they, you know, the overall positions, someone taught them, or they got it from someone. You know, they didn't literally think it up. It's been around for years. Dude, there's old judo books of every leg position. You know what I mean? This is ancient information. Now, some of the little details, sure, you know, are getting developed as we go and refined a little bit here and there. But I don't know everyone's magic little details. I have my own ways of doing it. Sure. And you know what I mean? So.
And honestly, if you stumble on somebody else's detail, that they popularize, or they're popularizing in their inner circle. No one else knows, it's just their inner circle. But you stumble upon it on your own. That's not copying anybody. That just means you both were on the same wavelength and are both as knowledgeable as each other, that you found a common step or a common
100%.
improvement, right? I feel like
and I mean,
sorry.
No, think of it like this, man. What really works is what you see work in competition.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyone who has secrets, they're showing a lot of those secrets when they use leg locks in competition.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Because that's the highest level stuff. And then guess what? We have video on competition, and we can watch it over and over and slow it down and look at each hand grip and look at everything. So, that's called studying. That's called knowing your enemy, and it's what happens in sports, all sports.
Sure.
So,
but that doesn't mean you're stealing, right?
No, man, you're inspired. It's all stealing. All information is stolen.
Yeah.
Or
none of it's stolen.
None of it's. Look, it all actually just exists. It all just exists already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu, it's deeper than what we even imagine. I really do believe, it's almost as if we were created so jiu-jitsu could work for us. That kind of sounds kind of weird, but it's so natural. It's so natural that, again, all the information's already there. It's just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah. And found. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
No, and I like that
but
take.
It's all good, but I mean, for sure, if I were to take a private lesson from someone and then make and then video it and then sell the video, yeah, dude, that's messed up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, the second you have to teach it yourself, you're articulating the way you do it. You know what I mean? I mean, that's you at that point, and it's not the other person. So maybe that person shouldn't have done work with you.
Now, getting back to the positives of the Leglock Academy and how it can improve somebody's game, do you guys do more on the website than just show videos? Like, do you guys give any game plans or lesson plans, or is that in the future? As far as how people can drill?
That is to come. That is to come.
Nice.
For sure. And that's the thing is everyone's always trying to step their game up in whatever it is they do. And this is the first time I've been part of any kind of instructional. So we're definitely open to what people want. Because again, we have a way to give more. And so you guys want strategy and ideas like that? Well, great. We can get together, as a group and say, all right, hey, this is what people want. Let's give it to them.
Yeah, man. I mean, coming from my standpoint, right? I am not a leg lock expert by any means. So if I wanted to become one, or I wanted to get very good at it, very proficient at it, I would seek out an expert, someone like yourself, someone like Alan Belcher. And the way I can seek out you guys without spending so much money and time to travel to you is by purchasing a membership to Leglock Academy. And once I get to Leglock Academy and I see these videos, my next question is, how did the expert get that good at it? So that's why maybe I'm just, my little 2 cents, my suggestion is, we would love it, the layman, the person that is not the expert would love it to say, how did this guy drill it? What kind of round should I be putting in?
For sure.
Just my suggestion.
Well, that's great. No, I'm definitely gonna keep it in mind. That's a beautiful thing. I'm glad to know it, and we'll see what we can come up with. So
my next question is, how do you drill?
How do I drill?
Yeah. Do you drill often? Because we've talked to a lot of black belts, and they say that drilling has decreased and more rolling time, more
positional specific training time has increased.
Man, I mean, I honestly feel like I benefit a lot from drilling. Plus to me, it's kind of fun.
So when you say drilling,
like
it's one technique. You're repeating it over and over at different velocities, maybe.
The way my brain works, I can't just do one move. My ADD won't let that happen. So I chain things together. I'll make like a big chain. I'll make a big, pass. Usually I like to, I'll get a flow. I like it if I can involve a takedown in it. I'll go takedown, position of control, and submission. And so that's kind of how I like to drill. A longer movement than just one move, one pass necessarily. Even though I do that as well, I'll sit there and just do one of my favorite passes, 30 times in a row or whatever, every day or something like that. Just if you want to get faster and faster at it and things like that. But yeah, I feel like I've learned still, I feel like there's so much to learn from getting into a position, okay, and saying, all right, what do you want to do? What am I going to do? And just break it down, if I just roll, I'm going to learn for sure. I learn a lot. I learn a ton in my roles, but I love breaking things down too. So for me, I definitely drill. I definitely drill, and it helps me a lot.
Nice, man. Do you normally put up high numbers, or do you go like I go 20, my partner goes 20, that kind of thing?
Man, honestly, again, I like to have fun. I'm doing this because it's fun to me. So as soon as something is kind of like not fun, or I'm not like inspired to do it, I move on to the next thing. So I don't necessarily put a number on what I got to do. Sometimes I'll set a timer and to emulate like however long my match will be, for some for instance. But yeah, for the most part, man, I just do what is fun. Because look, it's art. This is a martial art. And you should be having fun when you're doing art, right? No one's pissed off while they're painting, or maybe they're using that as their inspiration. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Again, it's art, so and it's to be enjoyed, in my opinion. Now, there's other opinions, and that's cool, but I like to enjoy my art.
No, 100%, man. We agree. We're on that same wavelength again.
Beautiful.
We love to train. We love to have fun training. And the second it becomes not fun, we have to change what we're doing. And that's where, monotony can become boring and not fun. So when you switch up some little aspect of that monotony, it becomes fun again. And sometimes maybe you're just drilling something too much.
No, exactly. Yeah. You can't just go through the motions. You have to do it with intent. You know what I mean? So, and
it's kind of like how much should you drill? Well, as much until you feel like you've learned it, where you feel like I always tell people, all our students, like drill a move until you can remember to try it when you're grappling. Once you remember to try it, you can, and then like drilling isn't as important after that, unless you need to sharpen a thing. Sorry.
I would even say that to drill a move until you feel like you can get mental reps. You know what I mean? When you understand the move well enough that you can think about it when you're laying in bed falling asleep, then that means you understand the move. And then the mental reps are almost as powerful as physical reps. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that, I think that could be a way to go at it too.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Cool. So last part of the show, we started to do fan questions. Do you have like another minute to answer some of these?
No, for sure. Of course.
Of these youngins' questions?
Oh, beautiful.
They're not fans, they're friends.
Yeah, we don't got no fan. Fan is like a weird word too. I hate saying fans. Like,
Jiu-jitsu homies.
There you go, Jiu-jitsu homies.
Okay, this is from J.G. Keenan? Jigga Kenan, something like that. Okay, this is what he says. I experience peaks, plateaus, and sometimes valleys in training. Any particular mindsets or mantras for each that can make us better? That's part one of the question.
The first thing that comes to my mind is just consistency, right? That's the thing, is there are tons of ups and downs, but staying consistent is what makes us push through those things and just kind of ride them out. Life is full of ups and downs, and we just have to keep going. So, I wouldn't even worry about it too much. Just keep grinding away, and you will overcome and learn. It'll all work out. So I just kind of like to tell myself that it ultimately all doesn't matter. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. That's how I get through the hard times I'm going through. You know what I mean?
Beautiful consistency. Awesome. Next part of the question. When trying to learn off the mat via videos, best methods, what are the best methods to stay focused and not get lost in the sea of content? I like that word.
Yeah. Man, off the cuff, these are good questions. I would have to say to focus on weak points or positions. Yeah, don't try to get good at leg locks while you're trying to get good at back take. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just got to focus on a certain part of your game, whether it's guard passing or closed guard. Just kind of focus in on those. Like there was a time where I hate being in people's guard. I just don't enjoy that. And so I would start every single roll in someone's guard, so work on the position until you feel like you have moved on, then go discover something else, go work on your X guard from there. You know what I mean? So, just break down each position until you feel like you've overcome that little barrier, and go from there.
I think that was the perfect answer to that question about how to not get lost in the sea of information. Like pick a focus that you need to work on. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a course. Yeah. Do it for a few weeks and then switch
absolutely.
it. Okay, last part of his question.
Man, this guy's got
I'm going to answer his questions on the DMs.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
on the DMs.
On the DMs. All right, do you guys journal techniques learned or post-training performance? If yes, what is the best method?
Oh man, that's something I wish I would have done. To tell you the truth, is keep a training log. Because then I'd have years and years and years of notes that I could go back and look on. So what I'd say is do it, because I haven't done a good job at that, and I wish I would. So yeah, do it, and hopefully it works out for you. And again, I try to do that. I do have notes. I write down some things from time to time that I definitely don't want to forget, and I definitely want to go work on. Something maybe I saw in a match that I want to break down or something like that. But I'm kind of free floating. I'm not necessarily as organized as I wished I was, and so I haven't done that. But do it.
Nice. Yeah. Me personally, I have a note called Deep Practice, and after every single training session, every roll, I reflect on the rolls of the day and everything that I did right,
Beautiful.
Everything that I did wrong. But I love putting what I did right, but also seeing what I did wrong and how I can improve it. So once I jot these notes, I log it in, try to embed it psychologically, and then next roll I try to apply those things.
Nice.
So yeah,
nice.
pretty cool.
That's sweet. Scientific.
Scientific. All right. So great questions from J.G. Kennan. Sorry. All right. This is from Parcolin. He says, what is the best way to roll for the longevity of your career? I am 24 and already have chronic lower back pain. Stop inverting, bro.
Answer this, Dr. Orchard.
Doc Orch.
Well, I would say, first of all, lower back pain, that's something I've dealt with. Just I built houses for years, and construction tears your body down. You have to do a lot of core stuff. I do a lot of planks, and there's a lot of different techniques, even just push-ups to work that lower back and tighten those muscles to protect everything that's going on down there. But also, it's rolling without an ego. Usually, when I think of every time I got hurt, I feel like my ego got in the way there somewhere. You tried to wait too long to tap, or you tried to push too hard, or you tried to be too crazy when you shouldn't, for whatever reason. It's like, that'll get you hurt. Now, let's say you are hurt, but you want to do work. Okay, dude, here's what I tell people: there's no such thing as rolling light. That doesn't exist. Okay, it just doesn't happen with people. What you have to do is roll with no submission. Okay, as soon as you can grab a partner and be like, hey man, let's just, no submissions. We can get into position and let's just move on. We're just more flowing, or we'll even do eyes closed rolling in my school with no submissions.
Nice.
To teach people how to flow. You know what I mean? So flow has got everything to do with it. Working smart and not hard. Get your ego out of there. And again, work smart, not hard.
Excellent. And there's one last question from Billy Boombastic. We know this scoundrel, but he has a few good questions. I'll say all of the questions, and
yeah, we know you got to run.
Okay, what are your opinions on a belt rank system? What qualifies someone to get stripes? What qualifies someone to get a new belt? Is attendance alone enough? And should competitors be held to a higher standard? Multi-part question.
Man, yeah, that's a huge question. And I would say, man, it's so different for everyone. Even case by case, individual. You can't judge everyone the same. You can't judge a 45-year-old white belt against a 19-year-old white belt who's wrestled for 4 years. So you have the criteria changes for each person. Consistency in the gym is one of my biggest. You know what I mean? If I just don't see your face that often, it's like, how do you expect to get striped or belted or whatever, you know? Competing, sure, might make you, might help you get ranked quicker, but usually because you learn the most when you compete, right? And so the people who compete often, they're learning a lot often, and so they progress quicker than someone who just doesn't compete and only comes twice a week or something like that. So again, case by case basis, man, it's too hard to break down. But you know, here's kind of how I see it. If I could just water it down in a way, a white belt doesn't even know how to learn yet. They're learning how to learn. All right, a blue belt, it's not time to learn. As a white belt, you learn how to learn. Now it's time to learn. As a purple belt, you know, you kind of become the grappler you're gonna be. You know, of course, we can always change and stuff, but I feel like that's where a lot of your habits get concreted in. From there, you know, brown belt is sharpening everything up that you do. And, you know, honestly, it's almost mastery level the way I look at it, because black belt, it's just time to start learning again. You know what I mean? You end, as a black belt like you begin as a white belt. It's just time to start over, you know? So, yeah, again, it all ultimately, what does it mean? Colors on belts, whatever, you know what I mean? Are you getting good at jiu-jitsu? Are you having fun? Are you staying healthy and all that? That's what really matters to me. You know?
Awesome, man. Yeah. I feel like you also have to the hard part is to trust your instructor, that they know that you have a busy schedule, that you try to make it there as much as you can, or that you're just coordinatedly challenged. I don't know. You're just not the most coordinated person. So you'll train 4 times a week, but you're just not the most athletic person. You're not going to pick up things quickly. So you shouldn't be held to the same standard as the person that is, you know, a really good athlete, you know, so.
And more than anything, if you're doing it for the belts, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know, so just do it to have fun and learn and better yourself. That's what's more important.
Awesome.
Master gems.
Nate, thank you for coming on, man. That was awesome. That went by so quickly.
Thank you for having me. Yes, thank you so much. I got to go lift. That's what I got on my schedule here. So.
All good, man. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Thank you very much. Later.
If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, comment on our iTunes or Stitcher or any platform that you are on. It goes a really long way, guys. When you subscribe, it pushes us further along, and it allows us to continue to bring you these podcast episodes with our guests, and it really helps out a lot to subscribe. It makes it a lot easier. It automatically downloads the episodes on iTunes. It's just easier to get us on your phone or your computer. So please subscribe. That's one of the biggest things you can help us out with.